Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda, and welcome to the month of October. On this day, 1st of October 1957, a new drug was launched by a pharmaceutical company in Germany. It was called Contergan. Now, this was a medicine that had originally been developed as a tranquilizer by a Swiss pharmaceutical company, and they decided not to proceed with production. They passed it over to a German pharmaceutical company, and they launched Contergan. Now, this was a drug that was supposed to help with anxiety. It was supposed to help people who were having trouble sleeping. It was supposed to help relieve tension, and it was also supposed to prevent morning sickness among pregnant women. Now, today we know Contergan more. A more familiar name for it is thalidomide. And it became apparent within only a few short years that there were dreadful side effects of this drug with pregnant women, that children were their development in the womb was being greatly affected, and children were being born with basically missing huge parts of their arms and legs, so they would just have hands and feet that were almost like flippers attached to their torsos. Now, one of the things about the whole thalidomide scandal is when we look at it, it was first in Australia where first of all it began to be identified that there was a problem with this drug, and some countries continued using it. In Britain, for example, it was banned in 1961 and withdrawn from use, but in Spain they continued using it right up into the 1980s because the pharmaceutical company, while its branches in other countries admitted what was going on, they didn't tell their operations in Spain and allowed them not to publicize what was actually going on with this drug, which of course caused devastating problems to so many children being born in Spain. But one of the fascinating things about how this thalidomide scandal worked out in different countries is the difference between the United Kingdom and the USA. In the United Kingdom, over 2,000 children were born with severe birth defects because of thalidomide between 1958 and 1961. Now, I was born in 1962, and I do remember growing up seeing children who are just slightly older than me who had been greatly affected by thalidomide and were carrying the disabilities in their bodies. So in the UK, 2,000 children affected and born with defects because of thalidomide. In the USA, with its much bigger population, only 17 children are known to have been born with these very tragic side effects of thalidomide. Now that's quite amazing, really. 2,000 in the UK, and yet with a much bigger population in the US, only 17 children. Now, why would that be? And the reason is because the US health authorities basically resisted the pressure from the pharmaceutical companies. Now the pharmaceutical companies had a lot of power. They had a lot of money. They were really leaning on the government to approve this drug quickly. But the US authorities refused to do so. They held firm. They delayed and delayed and delayed until really all the problems had come to light. And so that's why so few children in the United States were affected by thalidomide. You know, there are times when something seems like a good idea. When somebody recommends something to you and something tells you, look, this is going to help a lot of people, you've got to do this. But you need to make sure that it is the right thing to do. I have discovered in my Christian walk that there have been many times whenever people were urging me, saying, Nick, if you don't act quickly, if you don't immediately nip this in the bud, if you don't immediately deal with this situation in the church, if you don't phone that person tonight and tell them what's what, it's going to destroy the church. And you know what? It never did destroy the church. And in a significant number of cases, I discovered that just waiting and getting a better handle on what was going on and praying and seeking the face of God and making sure that the way I was handling with the situation was the way God wanted me to handle it enabled a much better outcome in the situation. Very often people will pressurize you to do things in a rush, to do things in haste, to do things in a hurry. But there's nothing wrong with waiting to hear from the Lord. Say, Lord, what do you want me to do in this situation? I pray today, I pray that we will learn in our spiritual walk what the scientific community had to learn over the whole travesty that happened with thalidomide. As a result of what happened with thalidomide, a lot of countries around the world, including the UK and still the US, introduced stricter rules on how drugs must be tested before they're allowed to be released to the public. Because the thing that looks great to rush into it isn't always all it appears to be. So seek the face of the Lord and listen to what he tells you to do. God bless you today. Join us again tomorrow for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda.